The gleaming hull of the UES Prometheus cast long shadows across the observation deck of Ganymede Station. Captain Sarah Chen stood motionless, her weathered hands clasped behind her back as she studied humanity's greatest achievement, and soon to be its greatest controversy. "Captain, the Galactic Council representatives have arrived," announced Lieutenant Park, his holographic form flickering beside her. "Let them look," Sarah replied, a slight smile playing on her lips. They've never seen anything like her before. The Prometheus wasn't just big, though at 15 kilometers long, it dwarfed even the largest Centauri dreadnoughts. What made it special was invisible to the naked eye. The quantum-folded space drive, the dark matter reactor core, and most importantly, the consciousness transfer matrix that allowed the entire crew to become one with the ship during combat. Through the observation window, Sarah watched the delegation of alien diplomats emerge from their iridescent shuttle. The tall, crystalline Meridians stopped first, their faceted bodies refracting light in complex patterns of distress. Behind them, the amorphous Zaltec representatives churned anxiously in their containment fields. Even the normally stoic Vreks, with their armored exoskeletons, seemed to flinch as they caught sight of the Prometheus. "They fear her," Lieutenant Park observed. "They should," Sarah said quietly. "Yesterday's test flight proved everything we theorized. The Prometheus isn't just a warship, it's an evolutionary leap in space warfare." She remembered the demonstration clearly, how the Prometheus had folded space around itself, appearing simultaneously in 12 different locations, how its quantum-locked weapons had bypassed every known form of shielding, how the consciousness matrix had allowed the crew to react with literal computer-speed precision, turning the massive vessel as nimble as a fighter. The delegation was being escorted toward the station's conference room, but Sarah could see them constantly glancing back at the Prometheus. Their body language, even across species, was clear. This ship changed everything. Captain Park's hologram flickered with urgency. "Council Matriarch Villara is requesting your presence at the emergency session." Sarah nodded, straightening her midnight blue uniform. "Time to face the music, Park. They're going to try to shut us down." "They can try," the AI responded with a hint of pride. "But they can't uninvent what we've created." As Sarah turned to leave, she took one last look at the Prometheus. Its hull was special too, a hybrid of organic and metallic materials that could repair itself, adapt to damage, and even learn from attacks. The ship was, in every way, alive. "You know what scares them the most, Park?" she asked, heading toward the conference room. "It's not the weapons or the drive or even the size. It's that we did what they said was impossible. We proved that humanity isn't just catching up anymore. We're leading the way." The doors to the conference room loomed ahead, and behind them, Sarah knew, waited the most important diplomatic showdown in human history. But she wasn't worried. The Prometheus wasn't just a ship. It was proof that humanity's greatest strength was its ability to imagine the impossible, and then build it anyway. Humanity's journey to this moment began in 2045, when the first quantum signals from the Meridian civilization reached Earth. Back then, we were still struggling with our first Mars colonies, dreaming of reaching the stars. The Meridians, with their crystalline ships and advanced technology, should have dominated us. Instead, they made a crucial mistake. They underestimated human creativity. "Display historical record Alpha 7, Captain Chen commanded, and the conference room's walls transformed into a panoramic view of First Contact Day. The alien diplomats shifted uncomfortably as they watched their own history unfold. The images showed the Meridian's first arrival, their crystal ships glittering above New York, Tokyo, and Lagos. They'd offered humanity membership in the Galactic Council, but with conditions. Earth would join as a protectorate, our military development strictly controlled, our expansion limited. Your species refused our generous offer, stated High Counselor Catal, his crystalline form pulsing with blue light. An unprecedented decision. Sarah nodded. We chose independence, and look where it led us. The display shifted to show the decades following first contact. While other young species accepted council protection and guidance, humanity forged its own path. UES scientists, freed from the constraints of thinking something was impossible, made breakthrough after breakthrough. The quantum-folded space drive came first, developed by Dr. Maria Santos in 2052. Unlike the standard faster-than-light drives used by council races, it didn't push through space. It folded it, allowing ships to exist in multiple locations simultaneously. Then came the consciousness transfer matrix, born from gaming technology of all things. Young programmer Jin Park, now Lieutenant Park's namesake, realized that the neural interfaces used in virtual reality could be expanded, allowing human minds to merge temporarily with computer systems. But it was the dark matter reactor that truly changed everything. In 2070, a team of researchers in Antarctica, led by Dr. Ahmed Hassan, discovered how to harness the mysterious force that made up 85% of the universe's mass. While council ships still relied on antimatter and fusion, human vessels could tap into the fundamental fabric of space itself. You developed too quickly, accused the Zaltec representative, its amorphous form rippling with concern. Natural progression takes centuries. Natural progression is a myth, Sarah countered, gesturing to the next historical image. It showed the first human colony ships reaching Proxima Centauri, using technologies the Council had deemed centuries away from human capability. The display shifted again, showing the construction of the Prometheus. Unlike the sterile shipyards of the Council races, the massive vessel had been grown as much as built. Using bioengineered materials and quantum-guided assembly, the ship had taken shape in Earth's orbit over just 3 years. The Council's restrictions on military development were meant to protect young species from themselves, the Vrex delegate chittered, his armored exoskeleton clicking nervously. Yet you turned peaceful technologies into weapons. Sarah touched a control, and the display showed the Prometheus's first test flight. The massive ship shimmered and split, existing in 12 places at once, its quantum-locked weapons bypassing shields that had protected Council worlds for millennia. We didn't develop weapons, Sarah corrected. We developed solutions. The quantum drive, created to help colony ships reach distant worlds. The consciousness matrix, medical technology for linking doctors to surgical units. The dark matter reactor, clean energy for our colonies. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Humanity hadn't just broken the Council's rules for military development. We'd completely ignored them, advancing along paths the older races had never even considered. And now, Sarah continued, we have the Prometheus. A ship that represents everything humanity has become, innovative, adaptable, and unwilling to accept artificial limitations. The alien diplomats exchanged worried glances. They weren't just seeing a powerful warship. They were seeing the future. A future where humanity's unique approach to problem-solving had created something that made their millennium-old technologies obsolete. Through the conference room's windows, the Prometheus loomed, its biometallic hull shifting subtly like the surface of an ocean. It wasn't just a machine. It was living proof that humanity's greatest strength wasn't our technology. It was our ability to imagine new possibilities, and that, more than any weapon, was what terrified the Galactic Council. The Prometheus's first real combat test wasn't planned, it just happened. A Drachnid pirate fleet, notorious for raiding Council supply lines, made the mistake of attacking a human colony transport near Rigel. "Show them the combat footage," Sarah ordered, and the conference room's display flickered to life. The scene unfolded like a dance. The pirate fleet, 30 ships strong, dropped out of hyperspace around the transport. Standard tactics: surround the prey, disable its engines, then board. They'd done it 100 times before, but this time was different. The Prometheus materialized simultaneously at 5 different points around the transport. The pirates confused by the multiple signatures, hesitated. That hesitation cost them everything. "Computer, freeze display," commanded the Vrex delegate. This is the moment that changed everything. The frozen image showed what happened when the Prometheus engaged its quantum-locked weapons. Traditional shields relied on energy fields to deflect attacks. But the Prometheus's weapons existed in quantum superposition. They were simultaneously there and not there, inside and outside the shields. The result was devastating. 3 minutes, Sarah stated flatly. That's all it took. No casualties on our side, no civilian deaths. The pirate fleet was disabled, their crews captured alive. The Zaltec representative churned anxiously. "But the method, it violates fundamental laws of physics." "No," Lieutenant Park's hologram corrected. "It violates your understanding of physics. There's a difference." The display moved forward, showing the aftermath. The Drachnid pirates, a scourge that had troubled the Council for centuries, were eliminated as a threat in one encounter. News spread fast. Other pirate groups surrendered at the mere mention of the Prometheus. Trade routes that had needed constant military escorts became safe overnight. But then came the Hexen incident. The display shifted to show a massive Hexen warship, pride of their battle fleet, attempting to intimidate a human mining operation in disputed space. The Hexens, not yet believing the stories about the Prometheus, thought their superior size and technology would prevail. "Please," the Meridian counselor interrupted, "we need not show this again." But Sarah let the footage play. The Prometheus appeared, split into 3 manifestations, each as solid and real as the others. The Hexen ship fired its main weapon, a planet-cracking beam that could vaporize small moons. The beam passed through all 3 images of the Prometheus. None were the real ship. The actual Prometheus materialized inside the Hexen's shields, its biometallic hull adapting and flowing like liquid metal. Without firing a single shot, it merged partially with the Hexen vessel's command center. The entire crew was extracted safely, transferred through quantum space directly to holding cells. The mighty Hexen warship, supposedly invincible, was captured intact in under 5 minutes. That's when the Council realized the true implications, Sarah noted. The Prometheus didn't just win battles, it made them obsolete. The display showed subsequent events, the emergency council sessions, the diplomatic protests, the demands for humanity to share or destroy the technology. But how do you uninvent something? How do you forget knowledge once it's gained? Your ship, the Zaltec representative, rippled with distress. It learns from every encounter. Its biometallic hull adapts. The quantum AI evolves. It's becoming something beyond anyone's control. Sarah smiled. That's where you're wrong. The Prometheus isn't beyond control. It's beyond your control. There's a difference. The room fell silent as new footage appeared. Peaceful applications of the Prometheus's technology. Quantum folded space being used to deliver emergency supplies to disaster zones. The consciousness matrix helping rehabilitate patients with severe neural damage. Dark matter reactors providing clean energy to struggling colonies. This is what terrifies you, Sarah declared. Not that we built a powerful warship, but that we've proven your limitations were self-imposed. Every race in this room could have developed these technologies. You chose not to, because you were told they were impossible. The Vrex delegate's exoskeleton clicked rapidly. The Council's restrictions exist for good reason. Without controls, without limits. Without limits, Lieutenant Park interrupted, his hologram pulsing. We cure diseases you deemed incurable. We solve energy crises you accepted as unsolvable. We make the impossible possible. Outside the window, the Prometheus shifted, its hull rippling with patterns that mimicked the stars behind it. It wasn't just a warship anymore. It was a symbol of humanity's refusal to accept artificial constraints, our determination to find new solutions, our drive to explore not just space, but the very boundaries of what was possible. You're here to ban our ship, Sarah stated, facing the delegates. But ask yourselves this. Are you really trying to ban a weapon? Or are you trying to ban human innovation itself? The delegates exchanged glances. They knew the answer, and it terrified them more than any weapon ever could. The Galactic Council's emergency session convened in their massive crystal chamber on Alpha Centauri Station. Representatives from 500 species gathered, all focused on one issue: the Prometheus. Ship log, Admiral's entry, Sarah spoke clearly, recording this historic moment. Earth date 2075.157. The Council has called for complete decommissioning of the Prometheus. Humanity's response will determine our future in the galaxy. The Council chamber was a testament to alien engineering, a massive geodesic sphere suspended in space, each facet showing a different view of the surrounding cosmos. Today, every facet showed the same image: the Prometheus, maintaining position exactly 1 light minute from the station. Supreme Counselor Valara, a being of pure energy contained within an ancient crystalline matrix, rose to address the gathering. We face an unprecedented crisis. The human vessel Prometheus represents a fundamental threat to galactic stability. As if on cue, emergency alerts blared through the station. On every display, a massive fleet of ships emerged from hyperspace, the combined military might of 17 Council races. A show of force? Sarah asked, standing calmly before the Council. Is that really necessary? Insurance, Valara responded, her energy form flickering. The Prometheus will be decommissioned today. Lieutenant Park's hologram appeared beside Sarah, his expression grim. Captain, They've surrounded us. 2,000 ships, including 8 Titan-class dreadnoughts. Sarah nodded, then addressed the council. Before you make threats, watch this. She activated her neural link to the Prometheus's systems. The massive ship shimmered and suddenly existed in 2001 locations, one for each attacking ship, and one remaining in its original position. The council chamber erupted in chaos. The quantum sensors showed each copy was real, solid, fully functional. The Prometheus hadn't split its power among copies. It had multiplied itself through quantum-folded space. "Impossible!" shouted the Hexan representative. "The energy requirements alone." "Dark matter reactor," Sarah reminded them. "We tap into the fundamental fabric of the universe itself. Energy isn't a limitation anymore." Valera's crystalline form pulsed with urgent patterns. This is exactly why the Prometheus must be banned. No single species should possess such power. "Then let us share it," Sarah countered, triggering her next demonstration. The Prometheus's copies vanished, returning to a single form. But now its biometallic hull began transmitting data, schematics, research, technological specifications. Everything, Sarah explained. The quantum drive, the consciousness matrix, the dark matter reactor, all of it, freely given to every species in the council. The chamber fell silent. This was unprecedented. No race had ever voluntarily shared technology of this magnitude. "You would give away your advantage?" Valera asked, suspicious. "The Prometheus was never about having an advantage," Sarah replied. "It was about proving what's possible. Humanity doesn't want to dominate the galaxy. We want to advance it." The ship's data continued streaming, and Sarah watched as various alien representatives began analyzing it. Their reactions told the story: amazement, disbelief, and gradually, understanding. "The technology, it's not what we thought," admitted the Meridian scientist. "These aren't weapons systems. They're adaptations. Evolutions. The ship doesn't just fight, it solves problems." "Exactly," Sarah smiled. "Ban the Prometheus if you must, but you can't ban progress. You can't ban innovation. Every race here has the potential to do what we did, to look beyond limitations, to find new solutions." Valera's energy form stabilized, taking on a more contemplative pattern. "You offer us a choice. Ban your ship and maintain the old order, or accept it and step into an uncertain future." "There's nothing uncertain about it," Sarah countered. "The Prometheus proves that cooperation is stronger than competition. Its quantum nature allows it to exist in multiple states, just as the galaxy can support multiple approaches to progress." The council chamber buzzed with discussion. The combined fleet outside began powering down weapons. The Prometheus's data kept flowing, and with each passing moment, more species began to understand. This wasn't a weapon to be feared, but a doorway to be stepped through. Valera raised her crystalline arms for silence. "The Council has existed for 10,000 years, maintaining stability through control. The Prometheus represents a different path: progress through sharing, advancement through cooperation." Sarah held her breath. This was the moment that would define humanity's place in the galaxy. "We will not ban the Prometheus," Valera declared. "Instead, we will learn from it, all of us, together." The chamber erupted in agreement. Outside, the combined fleet began dispersing. Their mission changed from confrontation to cooperation. Lieutenant Park's hologram smiled. "They finally understood, Captain. The Prometheus was never just a ship. No, Sarah agreed, watching as representatives from different species already began forming research groups to study the shared data. It was a proof of concept. Proof that the only real limits are the ones we accept. Through the chamber's crystalline walls, the Prometheus gleamed, its biometallic hull reflecting the light of distant stars, stars that would now be reached in ways nobody had imagined possible, by species working together instead of against each other. The ship that was too powerful to exist had just changed the galaxy, not through force, but through the simple act of showing what was possible. 1 year after the Council's historic decision, Captain Sarah Chen stood at the same observation deck on Ganymede Station, but the view had changed dramatically. Where once the Prometheus had floated alone, now dozens of ships incorporating its technology moved in perfect harmony. Each vessel was unique, reflecting the culture and innovation of its creators. The Meridians had adapted quantum folding to create ships that existed as crystalline lattices across multiple dimensions. The Zaltec vessels flowed like liquid metal, their organic hulls even more advanced than the original Prometheus design. "Progress report, Lieutenant Park," Sarah requested, smiling at how much had changed. The AI's hologram appeared, but now he wasn't alone. Alongside him stood holographic representatives of AIs from 20 different species, all linked through an enhanced version of the consciousness matrix. The Galactic Innovation Exchange has processed over 10,000 technological breakthroughs in the past year, Park reported. The Prometheus Initiative, as they're calling it, has accelerated development across all fields. Through the window, Sarah watched a Vrex ship demonstrate their latest advancement, a hybrid of their traditional armored design and quantum technology that could phase through solid matter without disrupting it, perfect for rescue operations in disaster zones. "And the military applications?" she asked, knowing this had been the Council's greatest concern. "Minimal," Park replied. "Turns out when you give species the ability to solve their resource problems and expand freely into space, they lose interest in fighting over territory. The last pirate group surrendered 3 months ago." A small alert chimed, and a familiar crystalline form materialized nearby. Supreme Counselor Velara. "Captain Chen," the energy being greeted warmly. "Or should I say Admiral Chen?" Sarah touched the new insignia on her collar. "Still getting used to that. How's the Council adapting to the changes?" "We've had to completely rewrite our purpose," Velara admitted. "We're no longer regulators of progress. We're facilitators of innovation. The Prometheus taught us that trying to control advancement only stifles it." Outside, a massive Hexan research vessel moved past, its design a perfect fusion of their traditional technology and human quantum principles. They'd become some of the most enthusiastic adopters of the new technologies, transforming their military expertise into exploration capabilities. "Did you ever imagine this outcome?" Velara asked, her energy form pulsing with curiosity. "When you first built the Prometheus," Sarah shook her head. "We built it to protect ourselves, to ensure humanity had a place among the stars. We never imagined it would become a bridge between species." Lieutenant Park's hologram flickered with amusement. The ship that was too powerful to exist became the ship that had to exist, to show us all a better way forward. A new alert caught their attention. On the main display, images showed the latest breakthrough. A combined team of human, Meridian, and Zaltec scientists had successfully created the first intergalactic quantum corridor. The barriers between galaxies, once thought permanent, were beginning to fall. "And to think," Velara mused, "we wanted to ban it, to stop progress out of fear. "Fear is natural," Sarah replied, watching as ships of different species moved together in the space outside. Their crews linked through shared consciousness matrices, their technologies building upon each other. But curiosity, innovation, cooperation, those are stronger than fear. The original Prometheus still held its position near the station, but it was no longer a symbol of military might. It had become a teaching vessel, its systems open to scientists and engineers from every species. Its quantum-folded spaces now held laboratories instead of weapons. Its consciousness matrix linked students across the galaxy. "We've received another 1,000 applications for the Innovation Exchange Program," Park reported. "Species that weren't even part of the Council a year ago, asking to join and contribute." Sarah nodded, feeling a deep satisfaction. The ship that had been built to guarantee humanity's independence had instead fostered unprecedented interdependence. Not through force or fear, but through the simple act of showing what was possible when you refused to accept limitations. "The Prometheus was never really about the technology, was it?" Valera asked, her crystalline form reflecting the starlight. "No," Sarah agreed. "It was about the courage to imagine something different. The willingness to share instead of hoard. The understanding that real power comes from lifting others up, not holding them down." Outside, the stars seemed brighter somehow, more accessible. Ships of all designs moved between them, carrying species that had once been suspicious rivals but were now partners in exploration and discovery. The ship that had been too powerful to exist had transformed the galaxy, not through its strength, but through its example. It had shown that the greatest power wasn't in weapons or technology, but in the willingness to share knowledge, to cooperate, to imagine new possibilities. And as Sarah watched the next generation of ships heading out toward the stars, each one carrying the combined knowledge and dreams of multiple species, she knew that the real journey was just beginning. The Prometheus had done more than change space travel or military technology. It had changed the way an entire galaxy thought about what was possible, and that, in the end, was the most powerful innovation of all.